Carl Jung once suggested that those who look outside dream, while those who look inside wake up. At this very second, something deep in your core is beginning to stir. It is a form of deep knowledge that refuses to stay quiet, a feeling that insists this bond was never meant to be easily erased from your memory. You might have reached a crossroads where you feel torn in two, caught in the tension between holding on tight and letting go completely. You are stuck between trusting what you feel and doubting yourself because of what you see. Silence has a strange way of making doubt grow louder. Distance can cause even the most resilient heart to question its own truth. You may have wondered if you are imagining the intensity of it all, or if you projected meaning onto something that was never there. But if it were just your imagination, it would have faded away by now. Illusions eventually dissolve when they are tested by time, but this has not. Your soul refuses to let this person go, and that refusal exists for a reason. Time has not made it weaker. Pain has not destroyed it. Every attempt to disconnect has only seemed to pull you back inward toward the same quiet realization. This person matters, not in the way your ego desires, but in the way your soul recognizes as essential. This is not about obsession. Obsession is loud, anxious, and demanding. What you are feeling is much quieter and much deeper. It lives beneath the constant noise of your thoughts and expectations. It waits patiently in the shadows. It surfaces in the moments of stillness, in your dreams, and in sudden waves of emotion that arrive without any warning. It is the feeling of unfinished business and incomplete meaning. When you first encountered this person, something ancient within you woke up. It was not just attraction. It was not just because you were compatible on paper. It was a sense of familiarity that existed without any memory of having met before. A feeling that you knew them before this lifetime had even brought you together. The conversations might have been simple, but the energy behind them was not. Your nervous system recognized a sense of safety and intensity at the same time. That specific paradox is rare, and it leaves a permanent mark on you. The meeting of two people is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You have been transformed, and whether you can see it or not, so have they. Connections that change us are never casual. They rearrange something inside us. They open doors that can never be shut again. Even now, in the silence and the distance, they feel you more than they ever show. Some people process emotions internally and express them outwardly, while others do exactly the opposite. Silence does not mean an absence of feeling. Sometimes it means there is so much feeling that there is nowhere left to put it. Your presence awakened something in them that they were not prepared to manage. Instead of leaning into the experience, they stepped back, hoping that distance would quiet the storm you stirred within them. It did not. Energy does not need words to travel. In their quietest moments, when the distractions of the day finally fade, you surface in their mind. Not because they want you to, but because the connection insists on it. They replay your conversations. They remember exactly how you made them feel seen and understood. They notice the stark contrast between your genuine presence and the emotional flatness of everything else. And that comparison deeply unsettles them. They are not acting distant because they do not care. They are acting distant because they care too much. There are battles happening inside of them right now. You were never meant to fight those battles for them. There are old wounds, a fear of vulnerability, a fear of losing control, and a fear of being exposed at a depth they cannot yet hold. For many people, real love feels unsafe, not because of the other person, but because of what it reveals within their own heart. This is where many profound connections start to fracture. One soul wakes up faster than the other. The other person resists the mirror being held up to them. You became that mirror. You reflected parts of them that they had buried, and instead of accepting you, they retreated from themselves. Until you make your unconscious thoughts conscious, they will continue to direct your life, and you will call it fate. Right now, they are being directed by the things they have not yet faced. But an awakening cannot be undone. You cannot unsee what you have seen, and you cannot unknow what you now understand. You entered their life to remind them of emotional truth, of tenderness, and of authenticity. You touched a part of them that had been asleep for a long time. That kind of touch does not just vanish. It lingers, it reshapes, and it waits. The universe does not waste encounters like this. If this connection were meant to end quietly, it would have already happened. Instead, it continues to echo in signs that catch your eye, in dreams that feel more real than your daily life, and in moments where their name comes to mind without any effort. These are not just distractions, they are signals. They are not telling you to chase them, but they are telling you to trust what is happening beyond your control. There is a massive difference between forcing a door open and knowing that it will open when the timing is aligned. Your exhaustion is completely valid. Loving someone deeply without any clarity is a very heavy burden to carry. But your hope is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of intuition. And intuition does not scream. It waits. Right now, something is shifting beneath the surface of their life. It is not visible to you yet, but it is happening internally. The resistance is slowly weakening, the fear is being challenged. The heart that once closed itself off is softening under the weight of its own truth. Whether they ever admit it out loud or not, the thought of losing you completely is becoming much more frightening to them than the thought of trying again. This is not the end of the story. It is the pause before understanding, the space where true growth happens, and the silence where alignment is preparing itself. You are not being asked to wait in the dark. You are being asked to stay rooted in yourself, to remain open without losing your own balance. Patience is the key to joy. This does not mean passive patience. It means grounded patience. It is the kind that trusts in the timing of the universe without sacrificing your own self-respect. It is the kind of patience that knows when something is real because it does not require force. As these words settle into your mind, notice what resonates without any effort. Truth does not need to be convinced. It simply lands where it belongs. If your heart feels a sense of calm instead of more anxiety, that is your confirmation. The connection is not broken. It is in the process of transforming. In this space of transformation, you are being shaped just as much as they are. That is something your mind often resists because your mind wants quick resolutions, clear labels, and set timelines. But the soul works differently. The soul uses uncertainty as a refining fire. It strips away all the illusions, the dependencies, and the false expectations until only the truth remains. What you are experiencing right now is not waiting. It is becoming. You might notice that since this connection entered your life, you are no longer the same person you used to be. Your emotional awareness has deepened significantly. Your standards have sharpened. You can no longer tolerate shallow connections or love that is only half present. Something inside of you now refuses to settle for anything less than what feels aligned, safe, and real. That is not a coincidence. That is the lasting imprint of a soul-level encounter. Sometimes a connection does not come into your life to stay immediately. Sometimes it arrives to awaken you first, to show you what is actually possible and to reveal what your heart truly needs rather than what it was conditioned to accept. Once that awakening happens, you can never return to your old way of sleeping. Even if the person is currently absent, the truth they activated remains very much alive within you. This is why letting go feels impossible right now. You are not holding on to a person so much as you are holding on to a truth about yourself that was born through them. You learned how deeply you can feel, how open your heart can be, and how capable you are of true devotion. Your soul does not abandon its own expansion. You may also have moments where doubt rises unexpectedly. You might find yourself thinking that if this were truly real, it would not be so difficult, or that if they really cared, they would show it more clearly. These questions are perfectly natural, but they come from the rational mind trying to measure something that does not follow linear rules. Connections of this nature rarely follow a straight path. They move in spirals. They revisit the same themes at deeper levels, each time asking for more honesty, more courage, and more integration. What makes this connection complicated is not a lack of feeling, but the difference in your readiness. You are ready to open up, while they are still learning how to exist in that space. Readiness is not something you can give to another person. It must be earned through their own inner confrontation. It happens by facing the fears that they have been avoiding for years and by choosing vulnerability over their need for self-protection. There are moments when they almost reach out to you. There are moments when your name is on their lips or when they sit with their phone in their hand, imagining exactly what they would say to you if they had the courage. But then fear interrupts them. The fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of being rejected, and the fear of not being enough. That internal war is not about you. It is about their own process of becoming. When you look at it this way, you can see that the distance is not a rejection of who you are, but a reflection of where they are still struggling to be. Trust the process and trust yourself. The fear of reopening something they do not yet trust themselves to handle makes them stay silent. They hope that time will solve the problems that only courage can truly fix. And yet, time keeps bringing you back into their awareness. This happens because unresolved connections do not simply disappear. They wait and they linger. They resurface the moment distractions fade. Late at night, early in the morning, in between conversations that feel hollow, or in relationships that lack any real depth, you become the quiet comparison they cannot ignore. This is also the reason why signs seem to follow you lately. They are not there to keep you stuck in the past, but to keep you steady in the present. When you start to doubt your own intuition, something appears to remind you that you are not just imagining things. A song that speaks directly to your story, a dream where the conversation finally flows, or a sudden memory that arrives with emotional clarity instead of pain. These things are not meant to pull you backward. They are meant to anchor you in trust. Trust does not mean waiting in suffering. It means staying connected to yourself while allowing what is truly meant for you to find its way back naturally. There is a subtle but very powerful shift happening within you right now. You are finally learning the real difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment says that you need this person in order to be okay. Alignment says that you are already okay and you trust that what belongs to you will meet you in truth. That shift changes everything. When you stop chasing clarity and start embodying it, the dynamic between you transforms energetically. Something inside of you loosens and the pressure begins to lift. The connection is no longer fueled by anxiety, but by a grounded sense of presence. That is the only state in which a true reunion becomes possible. If they were to return while you were still depleted, doubting yourself, or shrinking your needs, the connection would just repeat its old, tired patterns. But if they return when you are centered, self-honoring, and emotionally whole, something new can begin. Something healthier and something truly mutual. You are not being punished by this delay. You are being prepared. You are being prepared to receive love without abandoning your own boundaries. You are learning how to recognize genuine effort instead of just chasing the potential of what could be. You are being prepared to meet them not as someone desperately seeking validation, but as someone standing firmly in their own worth. They feel this shift even if they cannot name it. They sense you pulling your energy back inward. They can feel that you are no longer waiting in the same desperate way. And paradoxically, that is exactly what makes the connection feel more real to them, because now it is no longer guaranteed. It must be chosen. This is where fear begins to lose its grip, because the possibility of losing you completely is becoming a real, tangible thing. Reality has a unique way of cutting through avoidance. Their heart starts to speak louder than their defense mechanisms. Memories soften, regret starts to surface, and the desire for repair grows stronger. You may feel moments where you suddenly feel calm, almost detached, followed by waves of emotion. That is alignment taking root. You are no longer fighting the connection, but you are no longer losing yourself in it either. You are allowing it to exist without needing to control the outcome. That balance is incredibly powerful. It signals to the universe that you are ready for the truth, whatever form that truth takes. and the truth always responds to readiness. The path between you is not blocked, it is being cleared. Old misunderstandings are dissolving, and internal resistance is weakening. What once felt chaotic is slowly reorganizing itself beneath the surface. You do not need to do anything else right now. No convincing, no explaining, and no proving. Just stay present, stay honest with yourself, and stay open without chasing. The rest is unfolding in its own natural rhythm. As this part of the journey continues, you may start to sense it more clearly. It will not feel like longing anymore, but like a quiet, steady certainty. It is a knowing that does not beg for reassurance, and a trust that does not need constant signs. Something is moving toward alignment. It is not rushed, and it is not forced. It is real. There comes a moment when the longing softens into understanding. This happens not because the connection is weakening, but because your relationship to it is changing. You stop asking why this is happening to you and begin to sense that this is happening for you. That shift is subtle, but it is profoundly important. It is the moment when pain starts turning into wisdom. You are beginning to see that this connection was never meant to consume you. It was meant to reveal you. It was meant to strip away what was false and to expose the places where you abandoned yourself in the past. It was meant to teach you the difference between intensity and intimacy, between attachment and devotion, and between fantasy and truth. Once that lesson begins to integrate, the suffering loses its grip on you. You may notice now that your thoughts of them are changing. They are no longer frantic or desperate. They arrive gently, sometimes with warmth, sometimes with clarity, and sometimes with a calm acceptance that whatever unfolds must be rooted in authenticity, not in fear. This is a sign of emotional maturity forming inside of you. This is where the connection reaches a major turning point, because when one person in a soul bond evolves, the entire dynamic is forced to respond. Energy always seeks balance. When you stop chasing answers and start embodying them, the universe adjusts accordingly. What once felt stalled begins to move. What once felt confusing begins to organize itself. They are feeling this too. Even if they do not consciously understand why, your energy is no longer reaching them as a form of need. It reaches them as presence and as an absence that speaks like a calm strength which cannot be manipulated or ignored. That unsettles them far more than any pursuit ever could. Silence has a different meaning now. It is no longer a rejection. It is a period of processing. It is a direct confrontation with the self. They are being asked by life to look inward and to face the patterns they have relied on to stay safe, like avoidance, emotional distance, and control. These strategies once protected them, but now they only serve to isolate them. There are moments when they feel the urge to return to you, followed by moments of heavy hesitation. This inner push and pull is not about you. It is about them standing at the edge of their own growth. Stepping forward means risking vulnerability, but staying back means losing something real. That tension cannot last forever. What is important for you to understand now is this. The outcome of this connection does not depend on how much you hope, but on how deeply you honor yourself. The more you stay aligned with your truth, the clearer the path becomes. Whether that path leads to reunion or release, it will no longer break you. It will only strengthen you. But there is something the soul already knows. This connection carries unfinished meaning. It does not need drama, but it requires truth. There are words that were never spoken, feelings that were never fully expressed, and choices that were delayed out of fear. These things do not disappear. They wait for courage. Someone once said that where your fear is, there your task is. Right now, fear is standing in front of both of you, asking to be acknowledged. Your task was to trust your intuition without losing yourself. Their task is to open their heart without hiding. Both tasks are unfolding slowly, but they are unfolding inevitably. You might sense that the idea of reunion no longer excites you in the same way it once did, That is not because you do not care, but because you now desire depth over fantasy. You are no longer willing to accept confusion disguised as fate. You want clarity, presence, and effort. This inner standard is not pushing them away, it is calling them forward. This is where many people misunderstand soul connections. They think they are meant to be endured endlessly and that suffering is proof of depth. But true soul bonds do not exist to trap you in pain. They exist to lead you back to yourself and, if aligned, to each other in truth. You are stepping into that alignment now. There may be moments ahead where communication opens unexpectedly, a message that feels sincere, a conversation that carries more honesty than before, or simply an energetic shift where things feel lighter, clearer, and less strained. Do not rush these moments. Let them unfold. Authentic reconnection cannot be forced or hurried. If fear arises in you, the fear of being hurt again or the fear of hoping again, let it be there without letting it lead. Fear is not a warning here. It is just a memory. It is a memory of past pain, not a prediction of future truth. You are not the same person you were when this all began. You are stronger, clearer, and more grounded. You no longer need to prove your worth through patience. Your worth is already established in how deeply you have grown. Whether they meet you there is their choice, but they will certainly feel the difference. The universe responds to embodiment, not longing.